What's up, guys? Today I have another pen review for you. The video is going to be on these two pens right here. Originally I wasn't actually going to do a video on these pens just because they are discontinued. They're getting kind of hard to find. And to be honest, these two pens were kind of a impulse buy for me. You know, I originally had no interest in this style of pen or this particular pen, but my friend was selling some of his collection off. He offered me a pretty decent price for these two, so I figured, you know, why not? These happen to be Sheaffers, as you can tell from the white dots. These are Sheaffer balances they're the re-released during the 90s. I believe some people call them the Sheaffer Balance 2, and you know, the balance is I believe it's a pretty classic design for Sheaffer, where, you know, like the name implies, it's very balanced. It's like torpedoed, pointed ends, you know, very equal on both sides. This pen is, you know, it's sized very well. It's sized very similar to the Pelikan M600. You shouldn't have to post with it, and actually it's not recommended that you post these pens. You can kind of post them gently, but because of the design of the torpedo design, it doesn't post very solidly, and if you post too tightly, you do run the risk of damaging these pens. These pens were not out for a very long time. I believe they were only out for a few years, and they have one really bad reputation, and is that they crack really easily. You know, people can have these pens new in box, put in storage, and then they open up the pen case and they find hairline cracks in them, which is a shame because they are gorgeous pens. This material is really nice. The Sheaffer Balance 2s came out in a variety of these flake acrylic patterns. This is Cobalt Glow and this is the Crimson Glow. I believe they may have different names, but that's what I'm going to refer to them as. So they came in, I think, 5 or 6 of these really nice textured acrylics, and then they also came out with several solid colors. Now, from what I hear, the solid colored pens did not have an issue with cracking, and I think the main reason why is that because of how this material is made, and the walls are so thin, you know, Sheaffer really milled these out to be super thin. That's why they're prone to cracking. You know, it's highly recommended you don't really clip this over anything too thick, and you don't pull this clip out too much, because you'll basically crack the acrylic around where the clip is held in place. People have gotten cracks along the body, you know, not even dropping it, just using it regularly. This one actually, you know, at first I bought these two pens. I was going to keep one for myself. I was going to keep this one, this gorgeous, like it, you know, the camera does not do it justice how nice and deep. It's also my lighting is not that great, but it doesn't do it justice how beautiful this pen is. You know, the blue one, you can see it, like the difference, like the white specks inside the deep blue color. I was gonna keep the red one for myself, and I was actually gonna give this away as a gift, Christmas gift to my friend. But because, you know, he, like I, you know, we would both use pens in a work environment, and not an office environment. You know, we work kind of like manufacturing. You know, there is a little rough handling of pens if you're not careful. Granted, you know, I use this at work because I am careful with my pens, but I can't expect other people to be as careful as I am. So I didn't want to necessarily give him a gift. Granted, it's a very nice pen. It writes really well. It's beautiful, but would crack on him. So I decided not to. I got him another pen instead, and I kept these two for myself. And now I kind of want more. If you Google images for the Sheaffer Balance 2 in Aspen and Cobalt Glow, those are gorgeous, and Jade, those three are gorgeous pens. My friend who sold me these two pens still kept a Jade balance for himself because it was his favorite, and I can tell why, because it's a very nice pen and he wouldn't sell it to me. And like I said, because of the reputation of these cracking, and the fact that they were made for such a short period of time, they are getting very hard to find, and the price on these has started to inflate up. I think originally they were like $180 you get from street price, but then a lot of stores started clearing them out once Sheaffer discontinued them, and you get them for around $100 or less. And now, if you have one that's new in box, in good condition, they're selling for like $200 plus, because people do want these pens, and they don't come up very often. And when you see that they do come up, you know, especially the rarer colors like the Aspen, the Jade, and the Cobalt. Honestly, I don't even, I've seen only one Jade pen come up since I got these pens, and it was actually the Rollerball. And the key thing to note is that between the Rollerball and the fountain pens, the body and caps were basically exactly the same. The only difference was the internal mechanism. The section screw was still the same between the Rollerball and the fountain pen. So you could actually, I don't know why I'm telling people this, because now there's going to be more competition for the Rollerballs. You can get the Rollerballs for around $100. I managed to get a Jade one for around $100, but as the seller was packaging it up and shipping it to me, he saw that there were cracks in there, and he didn't want to sell it to me because of it. So he's told me that he was going to send it off to Sheaffer, but I already know Sheaffer's, long gone. Sheaffer still exists. The parts for these pens are long gone, and they won't be able to really give them a replacement. So I basically, it was a lost cause. But you can actually take the Rollerball, unscrew the Rollerball section, and then inside on the bottom is a spring that I'm not sure if you have to remove. You may not even have to remove it. It keeps constant pressure against the Rollerball insert. And then, this is a cartridge converter pen. You can just stick a converter in there and just kind of stick it into the pen. I think you have to remove the spring because it'll get in the way. These are very thin-walled pens, and at the same time they feel good, and that's because there's actually a brass sleeve inside the body, which I won't be able to show you. But let me try anyway. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to show you, but you can see like how thin the wall is, so that's why it cracks so easily. So I lost track. Oh, so yeah, so you can. I'm sorry. So you can buy a Rollerball, and if you do happen to have a few of these spare nib sections laying around, then or you can hot swap between different pens. That was my main purpose. I was gonna buy the Jade Rollerball and just swap a nib section into it, and I'd have a Jade pen to use. So the Jade pens are I think the Jade pens are the rarest. They made the least of those, and so those are probably I haven't seen any of them other than the Rollerball, and I assume that if you were to find one in a fountain pen form, it would be really expensive. And then the Aspen was kind of like a limited edition. I think all of these flake acrylics were limited editions, but the Aspen was more so. The Aspen is very similar to the Cobalt, not the Cobalt, the Amber Glow, yeah, is what I meant to say. The Amber Glow is very nice. It's like a textured amber color. The Cobalt is basically very similar to that, except it has like hints of blue and other colors in it, which makes it look really nice. Like I said, because of their reputation to crack, you do have to be careful. This is kind of like my, this is kind of a Safe Queen pen. It's not new, it was used, but there are no cracks or damage from what I can tell. So I use this just purely for special occasions, because it also looks really nice. This one, I don't think it looks as deep. It still looks nice, but it's still not, like, even on camera, you can see that, like, at least in my opinion, the red looks a lot deeper and more rich and luxurious than the blue. And I had also found that on the bottom here, you can actually kind of see, if I get the lighting just right, there's actually a chip out of the tip here. I didn't do it. I'm gonna assume that my friend did it. He used these pens, he carried these pens, and sometimes when he's out at a bar drinking a little too much, he may drop his stuff. So that's probably where that chip is. But since it's already slightly damaged, I said, screw it, I'm gonna use the pen. It's a nice pen, it writes really well. These pens, the original nibs for them are these two-tone 18 karat gold Sheaffer Feather Touch nibs. Which I think looks really nice, except I can't get it to focus, so you can't really tell how beautiful it looks. There we go. So you see it's dual tone. It says, I don't know if you'll be able to read it, but it's Sheaffer's Feather Touch 18 karat. They're not super stiff nibs. They do have a bit of give to them, but they're definitely not flex nibs, and you can't really eke out a lot of line variation. It's more just that the wings for the tines are so wide that it has kind of like a cushion feel to it. I don't know if you could tell, but I am kind of just bending the nib ever so slightly. It's not opening up the tines all that much, but it does make the writing experience very soft, and I assume that's why Sheaffer called it their Feather Touch nibs. The nibs, they were a bit out of alignment, but surprisingly enough, very smooth. Once I got the nib tines in alignment, I didn't have to do any smoothing or anything. I did, okay, that's not true. I did kind of have a baby bottom problem with this fine nib. I honestly, on this Crimson, I have like a broad nib on there. I haven't tried writing with it yet. The tine alignment seems good. It's, you know, it's nice and open throughout the entire tine. I can clearly see the line of light coming through from it, so I doubt there's going to be any flow issues. But that was the same case with this fine nib I have on here. The thing is, with baby's bottom, you are going to have a slight hard start issue. So I did use a very fine micro mesh pad, you know, 12,000 grit, and very gently smooth it out a little bit just to get rid of that baby's bottom. And now it writes really well. Yeah, like I said, I mean, you know, if you can find these pens, they're really nice. You know, this pen, I kind of lumped them both together, but any of these pens, you know, in this line, I feel, you know, they made my top 5 for pens that my top 5 pens for the past year that I've been using fountain pens, you know, very heavily, and for good reason. Like, they're beautiful, the material's really nice, they stand out a lot, the balance is really good. You know, I guess I could compare it to, you know, they're very similar in size to the M600, and for me, I've said in multiple videos, the M600 is like the perfect sized pen for me. So you can see here, capped, the balance is slightly longer, but you know, it's kind of to be expected because of the torpedo shape. You're probably going to have a slightly longer pen, but uncapped, you know, as you can see here, uncapped, they're practically, for all intents and purposes, the same length. The balance too is a little heavier, like I said, because it does have the brass sleeve inside. But it's not so much heavier with other, you know, compared to other pens like my my Visconti Homo Sapiens mini size, which was very well balanced, but it's also very, very heavy. This is just a few grams heavier than this, which for me, I can write with an extended period of time and not have any hand fatiguing issues. The section design is also very nice. I normally don't really like heavily pinched sections like this, but because of the size, length, and balance and the nib length, it actually works out perfectly for me to just rest my index finger right where that pinched area is, and my thumb is kind of along the body here. I don't normally write handed like this. I feel it's a little uncomfortable. I rest my pens like this more often than not. So that pinched area works out just perfect where, you know, I could write with just the weight of the pen and it's not going to move anywhere, versus, you know, maybe some other, oh, whoops, wrong cap. I was like, huh, why isn't it screwing in? I hope it didn't damage anything. I doubt it. But yeah, you know, like, I mainly prefer straighter tapers, just because most of the time I feel that pens with a pinch section don't really fit my hand all that well. Kind of like with the Edison Collier I have. Granted, you know, the section design is really good if you like to write with a pinch grip like this, but I just felt, you know, it just like holds your fingers in place. But writing in this style of grip, it's a little too pinched for me, so that's kind of the reason why I don't really love that pen as much as I normally would, and why I decided to get another custom pen made that's bigger, with a straight taper, but that's for future. So yeah, if you can find these pens, I definitely think they're worth having at least one in your collection. They do have the benefit of having a classic Sheaffer balanced design, but without the whole issue of, you know, like the lever filler that you have to resack and replace and stuff. You know, you do have the convenience of a cartridge converter. So that's nice. Actually, I don't even know if it fits cartridges. I'm pretty sure it does, but at least if it's Sheaffer converter. I honestly don't have that much experience with Sheaffer as a brand in general. You know, the way that it fits in here, you can see like the nipple is just exposed here, and it just kind of friction fits over there. I'm not sure how they designed their cartridges, to be honest. But I assume that it's a cartridge converter pen, so yeah, very nice pen, very gorgeous. Like that's one thing. Like, my friend has always accused me of being very boring with my pen taste. I always go for very simple looking pens, and you know, and he's kind of right. A lot of the pens that I got were just basically black and gold trim pens, or something like a clear demonstrator like this. Overall, very boring. But this pen is what kind of introduced me into wanting more of like the acrylic pens and the celluloid pens that just look gorgeous in terms of their material. just because of like how nice it's textured. You know, so this was kind of the gateway pen for me to buying the Edison Collier and looking into my like my Waterman 92, which is in celluloid, that like onyx flakes with red flex celluloid. This is the pen that did it, and I still love these pens just purely based off the looks. You know, with my Homo sapiens, it's an expensive pen, but it's not necessarily like a safe queen pen. You know, I like the design. I think it looks really excellent, but it's not something that I would display out, and you know, it's not a pen that would draw attention based off of its looks. It's a very simple looking pen. These pens I could put on a pen stand on my desk, especially this one, and it would look fantastic. It would make a great desk ornament even if I didn't write with it. So yeah, definitely don't check them out because I don't want more competition of people trying to pick these pens up from me. You know, but in all seriousness, you know, if you get a chance, if you have like a spare $150 and you love the design of this pen, and you find one that's in either new condition or in very good used condition, definitely pick it up because because of how fragile they are going to get more and more rare. They're probably going to go up in value, although I don't necessarily know how much higher in value the used pens will be. But if you have a brand new unboxed one, they'll probably definitely sell for over $200 in the future, if not for more. And definitely a good pen for a collection. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.